go. We see the Earth. You got it.
Hi, greetings here from Area 51 Raceway. So this is part 3 of the Carrera 599, just, tuning for wood, or if you want to put it on your Carrera plastic track, you could do that as well. Mainly it's, like I said, for the wood, because we're cutting the body, the chassis down, and doing all this work. But let's get on to doing what we're going to do next. So this is basically, adding the guide holder and the running gear and all that. And one thing I do suggest you do is when you take screws off, I usually do this. I attach them to where they go, so this way they don't get tossed around, because it's really easy to do that. And as you can see, I did these with the body screws, so you don't lose them. So what we're going to do here is we're going to install the guide, the CG slot car's rear mounted guide holder, or a guide adapter as they call it. And one thing you have to remember is you want to be able to sand this down and get this to where it's going to fit inside here and go nice and easy, because these will stick when they're brand new, so you have to really file it down good, and it'll take a little time to get it in there. Now it's up to you if you want to use a small drill bit and try and open up a little. Just be careful, you can do that. And what I'm going to do is install these, or excuse me, the guide on here, and all you do is simply do that and put the screws in, and then you put your guide in, and pretty much you use the screw that comes with the Slotting Plus guide. And what you'll do is you will cut this flush, so you could put the screw on it, and it'll lock it down to get it where it's not real tight, but enough, snug enough so it'll swing nice and easy. So remember, you will have to cut a small section out, and use an X-Acto blade to do this. Let me see if I can mark it here like that, or use a marker, or kind of get a good idea where you think you'll cut. And again, it's a little bit tricky, and I got a little mark there. So what I'll do is I'll get an X-Acto blade, and I'll chop it off as evenly as I can in that one area. I do have a piece of wood that I use as kind of like a place to cut things, especially when they're small like this. And you can use a piece of wood like this and put it right here. And I know where my mark is, so I'll go a little high above it, just in case I'm off, because I'm not certain if that should be the mark or not. But see how I use that to a piece of wood. This way you can cut, because it's hard to do it when you're like this at an angle. You're going to go at an angle, so that'll assure that it's nice and evenly cut and pretty flush. And if you have to file it down, go ahead and file it down, as you see how much we've cut off right there. And if you have the need to just file it down a little, if you think it's a little off, get a little file and straighten it out. This one's fine, no big deal. That looks good. And then you could kind of like position this, and then you see that there's a little protrusion there, but what we'll have to do is cut it down a little bit more. And you just, I gave it a little bit more, a little higher than where I marked it, just to kind of make sure I don't undercut it so much to where I can't, if I wanted to put shims later on or something like that, or if I need shims, you could do that. And that's basically how you want to get that cut down. So we'll get the guide installed. All right, one thing I do want to cover is, actually, before we do the running gear and tires and stuff, is installing these little ferrules when you are doing the lead wire and the braid. So the braid I use is the tin I always have a problem saying that. It's just the tin coated, copper braid here, and this is really good braid. If you want a softer one, you can go with the other type, which is, just the non-tin coated. But this works really well. I like it. It's pretty decent lead myself. But what I usually do is I'll cut a little excess. I went a little bit over. Usually I'll cut the length of the guide. That'll give me enough room, because it's always, like you say, easier to take away it is to add. So again, you can see how this one right here is longer, but that'll give me a little bit of extra room, so I could always cut the tail off. So I'll have it. I'll leave it the length of the end of the guide is what I usually do. Now everybody's different, so you do what you feel is best. And then obviously these little ferrules could be a little bit of a challenge, but there's different ways to do it. You can make holes for set screws. You could put UV glue on top of here, which I'll do to secure them. There's different ways of doing it, so it's totally up to you how you want to do it. Also, make sure you have enough lead wire as well. That's the one downfall that happens to a lot of people. It's happened to me too. I got a lot of excess here because I want to be able to make sure. Again, it's easier to to take away than it is to add, as they say. You know, as Harry said before, over and over on certain things. So you have the material, use it. And then what you want to do is strip the wire a good amount of length. This way you could stick the ferrule and bend the wire over the entire ferrule itself. On this spot here, I like to have a little bit of extra, like, you know, like I always say, a little extra doesn't hurt. And you'll strip it just like that. Get yourself some decent wire cutters. We'll need to strip a little bit more there. And there you go. So probably need to peel this back a little because sometimes those strippers don't cut all of it completely, but that's because I have some don't have any tiny ones, but if you run into that, then you can cut this or pull this excess piece off like that. And what you do is twist these really tight. And again, this could be tedious. Don't get too frustrated. And what you're going to do is insert the wire through the ferrule. And again, you see it's kind of flared out like that. This is where you really got to twist it good and put a good end on it. Just keep twisting it to where it's like nice and straight and doesn't have no frayed areas to where it will knock out through the ferrule. It's kind of like threading a needle. And then just like that, fold it over. There you go. Perfect. And that's our black. And then we're going to do the same thing with yellow wire. And then what you're going to do is get the braid and insert it through here, through the top or through the bottom, whichever is easier for you, and just like that. And I'm going to go down to about right about there, because when I push the ferrule, it's going to push this in a little. Then I'll fold it over like this, and I'll fold the braid down like that. Get these out of the way. And I'm going to get the other one and do the same thing. And just get it working in there, just like that. If it frays and you have a problem getting in there, just cut the end off just to make it, you know, straighter, obviously, so it's not all frayed up. You just to trim it down. That's why you get a little extra, so it's not, so you have some extra to cut away. And right about there, this one's a little bit more than the other one, but that's okay. I'll flip it down, do just that, and I'll set it down in there. I have these little, how would you say, these are little like swabs from Amazon. They're tiny little swabs. And then I just take the little ends off and I go like this. You could use a toothpick. I just have these and make a hole like that. So it gives it room to put the ferrule through. And I'm doing this on camera, so it's a little tough. I put the wire end toward the braid and I kind of squeeze it with my finger. Again, this could be a little bit hard and tedious. Don't get frustrated. And there it goes right there. And I'll push it down. Oh, not a really good tool to be using that for, but that's okay. And there you go. That is on there. Just like that. And you give it a little tug. Then you could put a little UV glue right here to keep it secured. And the little UV glue wouldn't hurt. And you see there's a little excess here, but what you do is you chop these down right here with the scissors. And that's pretty much but you got it all set right there. And then you do the same process with the other one. And there you go. And then now you're ready to put your guide into the guide holder. And that's it for that part. So let's go on to the wheel. But I wanted to cover this because it's important. So I'm using the Predator 22 500 ball bearing Jolly Green Rancher motor. Call it Jolly Green Rancher because it's got this little green part, and it looks like a Jolly Rancher. So this is why we reference this, the Jolly Rancher motor. And what we're going to do is we're going to have to cut this shaft right here. As you see where I marked it, that's about enough where we need protruding, because if you try and put this in, this is going to interfere with this magnet holder. Unless you plan on taking the magnet holder out, and you can leave it in there. But the one important thing we're going to do is that you're going to need to have a little of the shaft cut off, but not too much, because you want part of the shaft to be in between these two, this boss here and this gear. So it's just like a slotting plus gear where it has the, on 3/32 has a little boss there to keep the shaft from moving back and forth, or to keep it steady and not have it, float around. This is what holds it in place. And then you have your gear. So you don't want to cut too much of this. So this is about 1 millimeter. So let me go ahead and cut this real quick, and we'll see where we're at. But again, be sure that when you're putting this in here, you're not cutting too much, because if you cut too much, then you basically going to have slop, and this thing's not going to really run very well, or it's going to be not correct, because you cannot adjust this center crown gear, because there's no, obviously it's pressed and it's knurled on there. It's no like on slotting plus, a floating one. And in that case, you might as well just change the gears and stuff, but then you'll have to cut into the chassis. And I'm trying to avoid that, because I'm trying to do this for the beginner who has the stock running gear for this car. So let me cut this off, and I'll be right back. Okay, I got it cut, and as you can see, I fitted the motor in there. It clears that, and you can see it's perfect. You don't want that rubbing in there, so that's aligned perfectly right there, and that's what it's supposed to prevent it from doing. So that's about 1 millimeter on my ruler here. So basically a tiny bit. Now just be careful. You could be a little shy. So if it doesn't fit, then you could grind down a little more. You just want to make sure you get it. But that's about 1 millimeter, I believe, right there. I measured it, as you saw on camera where I marked it, and that's what you want. Now I could press my gear in there and position it, which will be probably about right here, and that way we'll have contact with the crown gear, and you're pretty much all set with that right there. So let's go with pressing the gear on. I'll show you how I press the gear on. Okay, here we go. So I have my slot invasion gear press. The reason why I leave a little nub sticking out is because I don't want it too close to the end bell hole, because I don't want this to be putting pressure on this plastic end bell. So I leave a little nub there. Can't say that, sorry. This way the tool could get right on that shaft, and then you could press your gear in. And then what you're going to do is you could spin it in there, and you're going to press your gear. And I'm going to go about, I'm guessing about that far. I don't want to go too far in, and then I'll spin it out. And if I need to pull it out, I can readjust it by pulling it out with that end. And there we go. That's what we have there. And I think we're about right there, but I may have to pull it out. We'll have to see. So I will insert the motor and snap it in place. A little stubborn here. There you go. I may need to pull that a little bit out. And again, it's not a big deal. You're going to put your rear axle in, snap it in. And actually, that's perfect. There you go. See where that's at. That's where we want it. That's nice. It's not hitting the crown boss here, and it's cleared. And that's in a good spot right there. I don't want it too far forward. I want a gap. So again, that's a real good spot to have that, as you can see, and flows nicely. There you go. That's how you get your motor in and everything cut. And all I have to do is solder the lead wires. As you can see, a little extra, because I can make a little bow here, and to make this do just that. That's why I do a little extra wire. So we'll get on now. I promise we'll get on with truing wheels and tires. All right, here we are. We are doing the tire and wheel. So I've already done the front tires here. So these are the Paul Gauge 1925 19125 LM Paul Gauge tires, urethane. What I've done is I've already coated these with the floor shine and stuff, and I trued the wheels in, and I glued them, or how would I say, use nail polish to glue them onto the rim. You can use silicone if you're worried about it, but really nail polish won't do anything to it. They're plastic wheels, they should be fine, but you can use silicone if you're concerned about the nail polish screwing up the the wheel. But honestly, these ball gauge tires will last you a long time, and these are ready to go to put on the front. And I'm going to show you with the rear what I'm going to do. And with the rear, we're going to go with the Paul Gauge 125 LM XD. So these are the obviously larger diameter 20-inch, 12-inch wide, 5-inch rib, extra deep, because the extra deep channel this has here on the rib for this type of wheel, for specifically Carrera tire wheels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to true the wheels down. You can put some, people use like baking soda and super glue or epoxy and fill in those holes if you want, but I'm not going to do that because, again, I'm trying to make this easy for the first time user. And what we're going to do is just sand these down so we get them nice and flush. See, there's a center little rib there, little tiny area right there. And we're going to make it easier. Let me get closer here so you see right there, little tiny rib. And we're going to sand these down. Now, this is a CG tire truer. And obviously there's a big mess here because I do a lot of truing. And let me plug the machine in, and then we're going to turn it on. I'm going to run it about 6 volts, turn on my reciprocator, and then I'm going to guide this down. And you just start with a little grinding. As you see, they're going to grind away a little. I'll turn up the voltage to about 6.5. It's a little overextending the sandpaper plate, but that's no big deal. And we're going to just keep getting those grind down so we get them nice and smooth. And this is going to enhance the car. The red one I didn't do this to, but it did pretty good. But again, I'm just adding this in here to kind of get a better result with the car, a little bit more improved, maybe better time and stuff. And what we're going to do is sand these wheels down and get them all trued out. And we'll be back when they're all trued. Okay, we have the wheels trued, and that's pretty good. That's what I'm basically looking for, most of this area to be trued out. And that's fine, and that will work. Nothing too complicated. And what we're going to do is we're going to glue the wheels onto the, glue the tires onto the wheel. So let's go on back to the workbench area away from the tire truer and get these all glued up. All right, we have a nail polish. Now, I don't have hands as hard as nails. I have Wet and Wild, so go figure. But I've always used this, and it's fine. Any good nail polish will do. And then what we're going to do is we'll get our tires out, and what we're going to do is just coat the wheel like so, around the edge and around the center rib. Just put a light coat, and if you want to put a little bit more, you can. Just don't go too much because it's going to get pushed out when you put the tire on it, squeeze the tire on it, or put it over there. But that should be fine. Nothing too crazy. And then this part right here, the extruded part here, I usually face that on the inside and put the nice face on the outside. And then we're going to put our wheel, stretch over like that, and make sure we got it on the rim. And I usually kind of flick this like this to make sure it's over the rim. That's just my preference doing it because I don't want it to be like, off, all kiltered. And then we're going to do the same thing with the other side. And put some nail polish and coat the wheel. And just, coat it. And go right over. Let me get a little bit more, make sure I got stuff covered. Like that. And I'm going to get the tire, pull it over, and get it on there, like so. And make sure this is, pull it like that, and then I'll roll it. Make sure get the whole tire on there. And there you go. Now I left the pulley wheel because I'm going to true these. And there you go. And obviously, make sure you put your nail polish away. Don't spill it. I've spilled some things on here before. And just check in here and do a little wipe if there's any excess. A little paper towel. Wipe the inside so if any came out when you're pressing the tire on or putting the tire on, and there we go. Looks pretty good. Looks like there's none. The tires, no nail polish, none of the nail polish all over the place or anything, and the tires are slipped over the rim. Now we're going to put this on the truer and true them and put them back on the car. So we'll be right back after we get these trued. All right, here we are. We got the tires trued. I, excuse me, snapped them in place, and I lubed the inside here, and then lubed the motor and the tires, and it sits pretty good on the block there. Get that on there. Got some nice, barely touching movement there, which works. And I used a piece of strapping tape. We'll take that out. It ain't working too well. My UV glue little light is burnt out or the battery's dead. So, but you could put some either UV glue here or something to hold it up to keep the wires down. But again, soldering's easy. There's a little soldering there on that. That's the only soldering you have to do. And then what we'll do is we'll bend these up a little so they stick out, so that the weight of the car will push them down, and it should be fine, and should get good contact on the track. So that's it. We'll throw the body on and run it. So we could actually put it on the dyno and see what it does also. A little dynometer I have there. Turn it on, make sure everything runs all right. So let's do that real quick before we throw it on the track. All right, we're going to turn on the rolling dyno here, make sure everything is fine. Make sure we got it the right direction. Sometimes you'll put the lead wires backwards. It's a good way to tell, and it'll go backwards. And then you just do a quick switch. But let's try it out here, and there we go. And just run the car a little bit if you want, if you have one of these, and just make sure everything looks good, nothing's noisy or crunchy or anything weird. Go. Not too bad. We're at 6 volts. Just a little slight break in. You just run the motor and stuff like that. And then when you're done doing this, we can go ahead and throw this on the track, see how it handles and stuff. So the power of that, and let's put the body on and see where we're at. All right, we got the car on the track. Got my body on. I had to glue the little winglet that broke off a while ago, so and then clean the car up a little. I didn't polish it like Harry did, which I should do, but I'll do that later. I just want to get on the track. So we're going to do a time trial here and see how it looks like. So here we go. Sliding a little, but probably need to add more weight. But again, this motor is a little bit more gusto than the 18K. If you'd wanted to tone it down, put an 18K, it'd be a little bit more tamer. But got a lot of nice sliding action on it. Oh, a little jackknifing there a little bit. Consistent 2.8, 2.9. I should clean the tires a little, and then we'll do that because, yeah, we're a little dirty here. So let's get a little tire cleaning. Clean the tires here. If I could get the darn guide on there. Come on. All right. Let's try that again. Get a little bit more, see if we get the slipping will stop. A little bit better. Oh, 2.7. There you go. So let me put it back in the slot. So cleaning some tires, I got a 2.7 out of that. Not bad. Best time so far for this car. 2.7. 2.74. 2.741. If our best lap is 2.707. Ooh, a little slip in there. I do need to wipe down my track. Oh, there you go. Best time, lap time we have there is 2.707. Last lap was 2.9. And not too shabby. And again, you could take this to your Carrera plastic track and retain the magnets and run it in there. I put weight down here too. So you could put weight on the inside of the car. I was just trying to get it balanced. I probably should put a little bit more weight, but we'll see as I run it more. Now the red car, I didn't put as much weight on that one. That one was a little bit lighter with weight, but we could compare the two and see what times we get with that. Excuse me, let me clear my throat. So here's the red Ferrari, the other 599. Clean that tires, and we'll see what the lap times we get with this one. So we'll compare the two. So, oh, all right, let's get it back on there. Let's try it again. .793. Whoa! See, I'm gonna have to add more weight to this one. This one's a little bit lighter. Again, you could adjust the cars and tune them with weight as you get them, with a better 2.9. Try not to wipe out as easy, which this is tending to do a little bit more. Again, I could add more weight to this car and improve the handling. .8, 0.89, 2.0, 0.8. 2.1 there. Starting to jackknife a little. 3.2. We got a lot of tail wagging here, and again, I have to clean the tires. Let me scuff them up a little too. Sometimes scuffing the tires up helps a little bit too. Get the glaze off. Clean them up. Let's try that again. That's better. 2.7. 0.773. 0.75. 0.7. 2.693. Here we got 2.693 out of the red one there. And again, I need to wipe my track down, guys, so I'm sorry. .8, 2.9, 0.8, 0.8. Always, you have to clean your tires and stuff, obviously, when you get a little bit of dirtiness on it. And again, my track, I think it's a little bit dirty. So we'll clean these tires and run it again. .77, 0.8, 0.7, 0.8. Oh, 3.1, lost a lot there. 0.8. 2.734. So not too bad. 2.734 for the blue one. Well, actually 2.707, and then 2.693 for the red one. So they're pretty comparable to each other. The cars, I mean, not bad at all. So, but there you have it. There is the Ferrari 599 cars. Again, each one you could tune differently. Obviously, I put weight here, and then I put more weight in the middle. And again, you can move the weight around and get your car set to where where you feel will be best. And again, I could also trim away this. As you see, I didn't trim away the guide, which probably one slat would be probably a good idea to trim off. So it'd be the same length as the Carrera one. And I will do that right now and cut one off and see, just like that. And we got one slack cut on that, so we got the same amount of guide, how would you say, length? Point 7, 28, 28. Whoa, 2.7. Came off there. Put it back on the track. And let's run it again. Hey, oh, look at that. Wipe out. Clean the tires again. Let's try it again. Whoa. Fun, guys. So there you have it. I'll stop there. Just repeatedly just wiping out and stuff. But, you know, you could get your car set up to where you can handle better as you improve it. Got a lot of nice drifting action, though, if you like drifting cars. So 727, 28, lost in there. That would have been a good lap time if you didn't do that. And we're a little slipping here. So our track's a little bit dirty. And again, you could break the glaze off your tires if you think it needs to be breaking with the little scuffing scouring pad on the other end of the sponge. Point 743, 779, 28. Oh, there we go. Just deslot it. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed the video. And again, this is aimed towards the beginner who's getting into this. I make the videos to get people into the door. This is a good way to get into tuning and learning. And there are a ton of these cars that you can grab off the shelf if you have them and just play with them if you're not afraid to Dremel them and cut them up and, you know, do some modifications. They're fun cars. This is a great GT class if you'd want to make a proxy with just making rules to where you only, you know, trim the chassis, you know, add that 22 500 motor and change the guide and then urethane tires and stock wheels and running gear, and you got yourself a little series there. They're both pretty comparable, so 2.6, 2.707, not very much off from each other. So these are very equally matched cars, and that's what makes it fun when you're stock car racing. When you have equally matched cars, that's where the driving ability comes into play and the strategy of it, instead of having a car that outruns another one. That's no fun. So I hope you enjoyed the video series. If you have any questions, you can always email me. As always, you take care and have fun racing.